Hi, Jeremy Crow here. In this week's video, I wanted to discuss a few things, 3 different types of non-human allies that can help us get things back on track. If you haven't noticed, we're in the middle of a mass extinction event. I think they call it the 5th mass extinction event on the planet that we're aware of. And it's caused by humans, essentially. So pretty much every day different species are going extinct. Now we need to get things back on track, clearly. And I think that there are a few types of living things that can be of benefit in that quest. The first one I'm going to mention is mushrooms. So mushrooms can help us save the planet, and I really do believe that. Now, the first thing I want to mention is the medicinal properties of mushrooms. So within the mushroom realm, or whatever you want to call it, kingdom, I'm not sure, fungus and mushrooms and different types of spores, molds, those types of things especially, but mushrooms in particular, the wealth of medicinal components contained within that realm of mushrooms is just staggering. We haven't even categorized it all, and we're still experimenting with some of it and to find out how effective some of this is. But the results are promising. They're very, very promising. Some of them, border on the miraculous. In addition to medicinal properties, there are plenty of edible mushrooms, of course. We eat mushrooms all the time. It's a great food source. Now, if we were to ever go into some sort of nuclear winter, or if there was some sort of catastrophic event like a meteor strike where the sky's blacked out, or like a mega volcano or something like that. Anyways, a lot of the chlorophyll-based plants are going to die. It's just how it goes. And mushrooms may allow us to continue to survive through that. They contain a lot of components that regular plants don't. So another thing that they're sort of half animal, half plant in a sense, where actually humans are more closely related to mushrooms than they are to like green plants. But they have components in them that you can't find in other plants, but you can find in animals. So it's a great food source for people who are vegetarian or vegan to get some of those components, those compounds, into their system without eating an animal. What else? Bioremediation. So to clean up the environment and to restore an environment to health, you can use mushrooms. So certain mushrooms have been found to accumulate radiation, which is interesting. So you can grow these certain mushrooms in irradiated areas. They'll accumulate the radiation, then you take the mushrooms out of the situation and dispose of them in a proper place, and then you've gotten rid of that. They've kind of collected that radiation. Oil spills. There are a bunch of tests going on right now using different types of mushrooms. I think oyster mushrooms is one of them, to clean up petroleum and oil spills. And this is in the water and on land. So you have like pipeline leaks and things like that. You need to clean it up. It's important to get rid of that. And certain types of mushrooms have been found to clean up the environment. So that, even just mentioning those 3 things is great. That alone could make a massive impact if we were to actually take full advantage of the properties and benefits of mushrooms. Another one is algae. there are different kinds of algae. Now, I'm thinking in particular spirulina. It's one of the more well-known algae that are edible, and it has a lot of oil, and it's very high-quality oil in terms of human digestion. So this is a type of oil that when you eat it, it's very healthful. It improves your health, and it's a good source of oils. It's also very high in protein. Doesn't have a lot of carb to it. So if you were to eat spirulina, it's kind of like I don't know what, like you can eat it on keto, I believe. So it's good for weight loss. It's a good protein and oil source that doesn't have a lot of carbs in it. And it can be grown in the ocean, from my understanding. Ocean sea vegetables in general, sea vegetation in general, is really good to introduce into your diet because of the mineral composition, or the mineral spectrum that you have within those sea vegetables that can help round out the profile of your diet and get in some of those things that you won't get from land-based plants or animals. Iodine is one of them, and we are notoriously deficient in iodine these days. The oil component, it has such a high oil component that you can extract that oil and make biofuels such as biodiesel from that oil. It's a great source of it, because you can even just take like tanks and grow it in the sun and then extract the oil from it. You can create like basically a machine that just outputs biodiesel and glycerin, which is a side product. And the other thing too is take into consideration how much of the planet is covered in ocean, right? It produces oxygen, so it helps with that as well, because of the Earth is deforested, getting deforested. So we need that oxygen supply somewhere. Yeah. So the health benefits, and the oils. These are two really good things about it, and just the ease of growing. You can grow it in a tank in your home, and just filter out some of it, and take a spoon. Even if you just take a spoonful of it every other day, that is going to impact your health in a positive way. So the third thing I wanted to mention is cannabis. So cannabis is essentially a miracle plant. It has, it's edible, leaves, seeds, the flowers, it's all edible, and apparently has very high content of healthful components. It's very high in oil as well, and it's a good source of oil. That oil can also be used to make biofuels. So that is very important. It's a very important thing, because fossil fuels are non-renewable, because we're using them up in such a short period of time, and they take millions of years. So essentially you can say they're non-renewable. And they cause a lot of pollution. Now, when you use biofuels, you do release carbon into the atmosphere, but then you grow it again, and it pulls it back out of the atmosphere, essentially. So it's renewable. And there's a lot of protein in cannabis or hemp, and that is used in a lot of products, a lot of health products or sports supplements, things like that. It's a good plant-based source of protein. It has components in it that are medicinal. So you have THC, which is psychoactive and has been used to treat different illnesses, including anxiety and things like that. It's been used to treat the symptoms of chemotherapy, so it'll increase your appetite and help you sleep. It's good for pain relief in that sense. Now, you also have a component in there called CBD, and that is something that people have claimed that it helps fight cancer. So there have been tests in the lab that are very, very promising, that indicate that it could even shrink tumors. The research is going on, but we'll see. But it's been being used by a lot of people for this, to help shrink tumors. And it helps with a bunch of other problems too. I've heard people using it for epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. There's a lot of things that people are using cannabis for as medicine because of the THC and because of the CBD. Those are the two main components that are medicinal in cannabis. Now, also, it has a lot of strong fibers. This plant does. So you can actually break it down and make really strong rope. You can make very durable cloth, and you can make paper. Now, this is a huge one. People are saying, oh, we're moving to a paperless society. I don't see it. Obviously there are a lot of places that are not using as much paper as they used to, but we still use massive amounts of paper. And the thing is, cannabis grows, or hemp, grows really fast and in very poor conditions as well. And so you can grow it. You can grow multiple crops and massive amounts of this fiber that we can use for ropes, cloths, paper, that we can get much more out of the same plot of land in terms of producing paper than we could if we were growing trees. So that's huge, So you have these three things. All three are food sources, and they're very healthy food sources. All three have medicinal properties to them, or at least health benefits. And all three can be used. I'm not sure if algae can be used for, other things, but it can solve some issues where you can grow it in areas that would make it that you could use for a food source that you might not be able to grow other things. So, but then you have the mushrooms with the bioremediation to clean up the environment and things like that. You have hemp that can replace all kinds of fibers instead of trees, for example, or cotton. And it's much more efficient use of the land. Mushrooms, algae, and cannabis/hemp. I think that if we were to utilize these three allies, these living creatures that we can use, we can create symbiotic relationships with, and really take advantage of these, I think it could make a really huge benefit to our situation in the world and for future generations. And so I encourage you to research these things, to introduce them into your life, if it makes sense to. You got to look at the potential side effects, like, for example, cannabis. I'm not suggesting recreational use. There are some downsides to just recreational use of marijuana, but I don't want to discount it because people use it recreationally. It has some amazing benefits that we don't want to discount. So if it makes sense and if it's legal, incorporate these things. You can, at the very least, you can always buy hemp cloth, rope, and paper products, even if the rest of the plant is illegal wherever you are. Most places you can buy hemp protein as well, even if the cannabis is illegal in general. So those are things you can do to kind of support the industries and help them grow in order to benefit all life on the planet, really, and especially human life as well. Even even after we're gone, you know, there's probably gonna hopefully be a lot of life still on the planet. But I really like to see where this experiment with human DNA goes on this planet. You know, I'm not gonna necessarily see it, maybe, but I want to see it go forward. I want it to go forward, even if I don't see it. Anyways, you know, I've got a son. You know, I want him to grow up in a world that's beautiful and amazing and doesn't kill him, you know, or isn't just hard to live in because it's so polluted or whatever. So yeah, mushrooms, algae, and cannabis, I think, can help us save the planet and ourselves. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this, so share the comment below. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel in order to get notifications when a new video is updated. I put out a new video every week. If you want to help support my work, you can go to patreon.com/Jeremy Crow and subscribe. You'll get the videos a couple days early. You'll typically get them on Wednesday, and then I release them publicly on the Friday. So on that note, I'll say adieu and cheers, and have a great one, guys.